Hello, everyone. We're live from the Glam Jewels studio, and it is time for another episode of the Get to Know Her show. This is exciting. You're going to meet Tracy Hanson today from Tracy's Wine Jellies, who I have known since the 90s, you guys. And we both look 20, so hey, what happens? You'll love to meet Tracy. She has an extraordinary story. Her business is quite something, and it's been a joy to watch her and be inspired by her and watch the business grow. And wow, she is quite something. So get ready for Tracy. But before we bring Tracy on, I wanted to do a shout out again to our amazing sponsor, Brenda Bedome. And today I am wearing a beautiful blouse in like a lovely oatmeal color. And it's hard to see on screen here, but it's got like a little bit of a pinky undertone, which I love. And the top is nice and long, which looks great with her pants. And just happens to match my Wonder Woman mask from our friends at Hides in Hand. And you know me, I had to make myself a custom mask chain in Wonder Woman colors. So if anybody else is feeling like they need something like that, you know how to find me. So I also wanted to let you guys know about Brenda. I don't know if you realize, but she is 100% Canadian made. She makes all of her clothing here. They're all made here in Canada, and she uses eco-friendly fabrics and stretch fabrics, and she's just incredible. So if you want to support Canadian, brendabedome.com is where you want to go. And please use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 13% off of your order when you shop with Brenda. I can see Tracy in our virtual back room here, and I'm going to bring her on virtual green room. Here she comes. You know what? I better get my headphones on, you guys, or I'm not going to hear her. Tracy, it's so good to see you. It looks like you're you look great. It looks like you're somewhere tropical there with your background, and
yeah,
it looks so nice.
Well, it's my wreath in the background there. Yeah,
it's beautiful, but it kind of, I think with the sunshine coming in on your face, you look like you're somewhere else. You're giving me a nice, well, you're in Niagara, so hey, that's a pretty great place to be.
That's a pretty good place to be, for sure.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. I was trying to think, Tracy, to when the first time we would have met. That I think that would have been like, you started your business in 97, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So I wasn't Glam Jewels yet, but I was Designs by Monica, and I'm pretty sure I met you back there. Then I'm thinking that it could have been maybe in Thorold or somewhere like that.
The Beaver Dams Park, we used to do a show.
Yeah. And they had, I don't know if you remember, but they sold deep fried chocolate bars. I never tried one.
Oh. I know they do that at the CNE, but I didn't remember it back then.
Yeah, back then in Thorold. Aw. Yeah. So Tracy, that's quite something, being in business since 97.
Yeah.
You've learned a lot.
Yeah. It's been about, I'm guessing, well, I guess it's 23 years now I've been in business.
Yeah, that's so great. So before we get into your business and your story, I want to know, the question I ask everybody is, what did little Tracy want to be when she grew up?
Well, it's funny. When I was a little kid, I used to play store, and I used to make believe money, like little coins and dollar bills and things. And then my friends and I would make crafts, like little necklaces out of chestnuts and all kinds of things that we could gather from the neighborhood. And then we would have this exchange. We'd have money that we could buy different things with. So it's interesting how way back then, I just really enjoyed interacting with the neighborhood and selling things. So,
wow, that's great. And how old were you then?
I don't know. I'm guessing maybe 6 or 7.
Amazing. It's so cool. I love hearing these stories. I love asking that question because it amazes me how it's almost like we're born to be entrepreneurs. Like it's something that, you know, you're doing. You're
And
just,
different times I've worked for different people in different industries, and I just always knew that I wanted to do something on my own. And I knew that I knew when it wasn't right, and you know when it is right too. So
yeah, that's great. So Tracy, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in the Niagara area or?
no, well, not far away. I grew up in Hamilton, actually, Hamilton and Toronto. So
Okay.
I used to go visit my grandparents and stay with my grandparents quite a bit in Toronto, like right downtown Toronto. So I was used to kind of the big city vibe.
Yeah.
And then my family was from Hamilton. So yeah, so I was between the two.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
That's great. And so you went to public school and high school, I guess, in Hamilton?
I did. I did.
Great.
Yes.
And then after that, did you decide to go to college or do any of that stuff, or did you?
I did, actually.
Yeah.
I went to the University of Manitoba and I got my interior design degree. So that's what I wanted to be, was an interior designer. And I did do that for a while, and then, got married and had 3 children. And we moved quite a bit. So I kind of had to figure out something I could do from home. And even though I did do interior design for a while, because we lived in Manitoba, Vancouver, and then Oakville, and then Niagara. So we moved quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start something. I wanted to be home with my children, and I wanted to start a home-based business. So hence Tracy's Wine Jellies. So
yeah, that's amazing. So did you meet your husband at school, or when did you guys meet?
yes, I met Drew at school at the University of Manitoba, and he was working for the airlines at the time, and then he later went on into the dental field in sales, and that's how we ended up in Vancouver. He got promoted to be the Western sales manager, and then eventually came back to be the Eastern sales manager. So that's what brought me back home.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when Tracy's Wine Jellies was born, was this something that you sort of said, this is what I want to do, or did the two of you discuss it together, or how did it come to be?
No.
I
know. I thought it was, I studied to be an interior designer. So if somebody told me I'd be making jelly for a living, I would have said, you're crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. But It's interesting how when I moved to the Niagara region, I wanted to do something from home. And I actually started hand painting wine glasses for the wineries. And then I kind of branched off into kind of all wine related things and started doing small shows at the schools and things like that. That's how I started off in sort of craft shows. And the main reason I started my business was so that I could own a horse again, because I've ridden my entire life since I was 2 years old. So for me, it was just something to sort of feed my passion and still be at home with the kids, and it worked for me.
Wow. And do you have a horse now?
I do. I ride 3 times a week. I ride in Niagara-on-the-Lake here at Lake Wind Stables. So yeah. I still enjoy riding to this day. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that about you, Tracy.
No? Okay.
No,
No, that's what drives me. Horses have always been I love all animals, but
yeah,
horses, because I've been around them my whole life. My grandfather got me started into the horses. His dad was actually a farrier for Silverwood Dairies that used to deliver all the milk. So he used to shoe all the draft horses that would deliver the milk to the neighborhoods in Grimsby area. So my grandfather was always around horses. So when I came along, he really wanted to get back into the horses again. So he did that through me, which was awesome, and I benefited from it. And yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's your thing. I love
my
it.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Tracy's Wine Jellies, why wine? Was this something also that you grew up with and loved, or was it something you kind of?
No, I think I was just kind of wanting to do wine-based. I wanted a business. I was doing interior design when I first moved to Niagara-on-the-Lake, but again, it took me away from the house quite a bit. And Drew, my husband at the time, he traveled a lot. Yeah. So I really wanted to be home with the kids and make sure everything was good at home. And that's why I started that home-based business. But starting with the wine glasses and then going into the wine jellies. And I actually just had a basic recipe. And I thought, well, I'll try these. And I started at a little school show, the kids' school actually, had a little craft show, and I started there. And I started with the little Bernardin jars and the little hand printed labels and things. And people thought, wow, this is really cool. I really like this. And this was a really nice way to entertain with the cheeses and things. And it's interesting because charcuterie is actually more popular now than when I started.
Yeah.
So being from sort of a British type of background, we often ate cheese with sweeter things. Like we'd eat cheese with like apple pie and that kind of thing. So I was used to having something sweet with cheese. And so now a lot of the young people, which is really exciting, they all know what charcuterie is, which is very cool. So for them, it's a new thing. And for me, I've been doing it for quite some time. So.
Oh, I love it. I had a lot of friends growing up who were British, and I remember having for the first time cheese and crackers, like a nice sharp cheddar with mango chutney.
Oh yeah,
and,
that's what I'm saying. Like to have cheese
so
with the sweet is so good.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started with that little craft show.
Yeah.
And then from there you decided.
And then what happened, I was doing it for a couple of years, just little small shows. And my husband at the time, Drew, I say that because he passed away, but anyway, at the time he was about 45, I guess. And he had a very, very good position with this company. And the company he worked for was sold to an American company, and Drew was out of work at 45 years old, which was a little devastating to her family, a little bit of adversity. Yeah. But I said to him, well, why don't we see if we can ramp up my business? And I said, worst case scenario, you go back to doing sales. I can do interior design. We've got options.
Right.
So it's interesting. We just sort of hit the road and signed up for all these little shows all around Southern Ontario. And Drew thought it was the best thing ever. He said, I feel like I'm retired because this is so nice to meet so many nice people. And you do. The craft people are amazing. Like they're a whole different group of people, and they're amazing people. So he loved it. And so within a year and a half or so, we were able to replace his income, which was like huge for me because I just never thought we could grow it that rapidly, and we did. Yeah. And then we never looked back. So so that was exciting. The business has always sort of been with me throughout everything that's happened in my life, and it's sort of the glue, if you will.
Yeah, that's right. And you were also I guess you started wholesaling once Drew decided, the two of you, that would have been when you started.
Absolutely. So we opened up we did our retail at craft shows. We did wholesale. Unfortunately, we live in a lovely wine region, Niagara-on-the-Lake, and I was able to sell it at some of the different wineries and markets and things here, which was great. And then we also did a small online portion. We always had an online store, but we never really, because we were so busy with shows, we never really endorsed it that much. People knew they could order if they needed to, and we weren't at a show or they missed a show. But generally, people would come to see us at the show. So that's what makes this whole, since COVID, we've had to change our whole business model. And for me, it was a little nerve-wracking because I'm not that savvy on the computer. I had to learn, big learning curve. Let's put it that way.
Wow. Well, Tracy, I want to say, to me, you are one of the strongest women I have ever met. And I mean, I met you from way back, and you were always so encouraging, and you were like, go kiddo, and you were buying my jewels, and you were so awesome. Yeah. And then I guess it was shortly before the One of a Kind show, your husband had passed away suddenly.
Yes.
And there you were doing the show.
Yes.
Because you had to.
Exactly. It was interesting. Yeah. Drew passed away at the end of October, just on Halloween Eve. And we had all our major shows booked to do, and I think I just kind of just put the pedal to the metal. I knew that we had all our stock built, and I knew I had to go and do it and continue doing what I was doing. January was a time that we're not overly busy, so I was able to take time to obviously grieve and do all of that. But I just knew that I needed to get the product out. So I just pressed on.
Yeah. And what year was that, Trace? That was 2011 or?
No, that was 2007.
2007. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
2007.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you navigate through it? And I'm not that I'm trying to compare or anything like that, but in 2012, my dad passed away the second day of One of a Kind.
Yeah.
And I felt paralyzed. All of my friends took turns working my booth. My sales were terrible. I didn't even make half of what I would normally do at the Christmas show.
Yes.
But I did think of you at that time, because I know that you had to somehow find that strength and that power to do the show, to support your family.
Absolutely.
To do what needed to be done. So yes. I've always wanted to ask you, like, where did you find that inner strength? How did you do it?
I don't know. I come from a very long line of very strong women, and they all had some adversity in their lives. And I think it's just knowing that you can go on, that you just need to go on, and that, you will. It's not that you don't feel the emotion, you do, but somehow I just knew that I had to keep going. And it was, like I said, it was a common thread. It was something that I knew, I was familiar with, I was comfortable with. And, having all of you people, all the craft show people around me who are like a second family to me, really helped, because people did, like you said, when your dad passed, they come, they help you, they look after you.
Yeah.
And, I think, I have to say that for the craft show circuit, like, these are amazing people that are part of our lives and will always be, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. I know it's so heartbreaking that we can't be together at One of a Kind. I mean, I won't lie to you. My body's kind of like, oh, thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, yes, okay. I actually put up a tree I usually put it up 2 days before Christmas and clean the house and do everything, getting ready for Christmas, because I work right up until Christmas.
Yeah.
This year I actually put it up at the end of November, and I said, I don't care. I'm putting it up. Actually, initially I wasn't going to put it up because I was the whole season has been a little bit, wee bit depressing, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I don't want to put up a tree this year. But you know what? I did it. And I was so happy I did. Every little ornament I put on the tree had memories and took me back to other Christmases where things were different, and certain people were here. And it really actually was a very therapeutic exercise, if you will. And now that it's up, I just love it. And I was born 2 days before Christmas. So for me, Christmas is kind of a special season for me. I really always enjoy Christmas and the colors of Christmas and sounds of Christmas. I really like it.
Oh, and you live in the most perfect place to the downtown in Niagara during Christmas time. It's so beautiful. So hopefully you can enjoy that this year a little more.
Absolutely. Yeah. We try to go down when it's not too busy, because of course you don't want to be around too many people. That's the other thing. I was thinking, I'll be home this year. I'll be able to see the Christmas parade. I'll be able to do the candlelight stroll, all these great things that happen in Niagara at Christmas. Nada. Nothing's going on. Everything's shut down. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to see the Christmas parade.
I know.
It is what it is,
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We just have to go with the flow. And Trace, I also wanted to talk about Vito, your partner. He is so wonderful. He's awesome. Like such a great guy. He makes me laugh so hard at the shows. And he's always like, he'll come over to the booth and check up and see how we're doing.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah,
And
you know.
and your booth is so great. I don't know if you and Drew came up with the idea or it was you and Vito to have like a little rest area in the back of your booth.
Yeah, that no, Drew and I never rested, but yeah, Beats and I have got that. Beats likes a little rest. He likes a little snooze, especially when we're
Yeah.
doing 12-hour days. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have this little cool bed in the back of our booth. So even though it looks like a design element that I have things on an angle, there's actually a bed back there. I'm just saying, we go back there, we close our eyes, we just like veg for like maybe 10 minutes, 15
Yeah.
minutes, but it makes a big difference
Oh
when you're
yeah.
on your feet all day. And we have this, Vito has this really cool noise canceling headset, and we put that on and you hear nothing. And
Wow.
it's beautiful.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I
So
know it's
yeah, he's been a wonderful partner. I've been lucky and loved twice, and I feel very blessed.
oh, that's so great. And you guys work so hard with your sampling. How do you even, I mean, for the one of a kind show with the amount of people that come through there,
Yeah.
how do you even, like, how did you ever figure out how much jelly you would need just for the sampling alone? Because that's really how you sell, right? People
It is. It really is.
taste
And
it
it's very interactive, and you get to chat with people, and they get to try what it is what you're making. And I think if you're going to invest that much in a jar of jelly, you kind of really need to know what it tastes like if you haven't tasted it before. Not to say that people haven't tasted it who haven't bought it before still taste it, because they do. And that's cool too. I love that. You don't really know, you have a pretty good idea of what you're going to sample every day because you're sampling nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And as Vito always says, especially at the CNE, he always says, we feed Toronto one cracker at a time.
You really do.
It's true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
but
true.
you know what? It's a good interaction because you're talking to people, and then you're explaining to them what to do with them and how to use them, and they in turn tell you how they use them, which is always educational too. It's a really good give and take.
Yeah, perfect. So going back to the good old topic of COVID, how has this changed for you now? Like, I just want to vouch that nobody needs to try these jellies. You just need to buy them because they're so freaking great. And Tracy, you've been so generous with me over the years when I've had events here to raise money for families at Christmas time. You've donated your jellies to our parties, and oh my gosh, people love them. Yeah.
Thank you.
So how has this changed for you?
Well, like I say, I found it very difficult switching from an in-person type of interview or speaking to people directly. That's who I am. That's how I function best, is talking one-on-one. So so for me to go almost like I say, went from a three-dimensional platform to a two-dimensional platform, being the internet or the screen or whatever. I miss people terribly. Like I found that really, really difficult. We have been able to navigate. I have a really great marketing person, Ron Coughlin, who's helped us tremendously through all of this and got us on the internet.
Wow.
So I have to be very grateful for that. And also Vito is a lot more savvy on the computer than I am too. So those two guys have kept me going and gotten me out in front of the camera and all of that. So
that's so exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. And I know like so many people are doing Zoom parties and that kind of thing now. And I was even thinking your jellies would be so great to, that women could pre-order them and have them for their party and, enjoy their cheese and crackers and jellies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I also saw on your website that you can use the jellies like for cooking.
Yeah, some people use them for different things, like Christmas cookies, the little thumbprint cookies. They'll make the little centers out of the jellies. I also have an all natural, no sugar line that they'll use that too. Like they'll use it's a little bit tartar because it doesn't have the sugar in it, but it's really nice with a sweet cookie, and they'll put that in the center of cookies. Or they'll use my wine jellies in when they're making when you're making a homemade salad dressing with oil and vinegar, they'll throw a tablespoon of the jelly in, and it gives it a really nice wine with a little bit of sweet in there. It's just that right amount of sweetness to, you know, for the oil and the vinegar. So
Yeah.
and then people use it on their marinate their meats and all kinds of things with it. We learn all kinds of different things.
Oh, that's great. So you learn a lot from your customers coming to you. Yeah.
And we listen to our customers, because our customers say, well, what if you tried this, or what if you did that? So some of our products have actually come from just listening to people and just saying, you know, they'd like to buy this sort of product or whatever. And and then we started with the craft beer jellies, of course.
Yeah, so I was going to just ask, that was going to be my next question. So tell us how that came about.
Well, we went to Niagara College, which is really well known for their beer making classes there. They have a really great brewmaster there. And so we thought, well, we'll try some of their different ones. And then I thought, I'm going to do a little 6-pack. I'm going to do a beer jelly 6-pack, because I thought, you know, why not? And of course, it took me forever to figure out how to set the jelly, because it wasn't the same recipe as the wine jelly, but I never gave up. I threw out a lot of beer, just saying, I hate to say that, but I did. It was experiment, but I never gave up. I thought I'd put it away for a while, and then I'd bring it back out, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to get this eventually. And I did. And then, so we do the little beer jellies, like stout habanero. The hot jellies have been selling like crazy this year. And Pilsner and cherry Pilsner and wheat, all different types of beer. And every one of them tastes different as a jelly. And they don't have any other fruits added to them like the wine jellies. So these are very true flavors as to what they are. Whatever type of beer they are, that's what they taste like.
Yeah. This is such a great gift idea too for husbands, like for the man who has everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can put it on their burger, on their sausage. They can put it on whatever they want. Their toast in the morning. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. And it comes in a cute little 6-pack too. So it's kind of that guy thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And so how are you guys handling Christmas orders right now? Everything sort of moving along?
We've been really, really busy, which is great. Yeah. Just especially in the last month, mm-hmm. It's been busy. It's not the same as doing the shows. Like, it's nothing like the sales we do at the shows, but it's a whole different way of selling. And like I said, everything I'm doing this year, I'm just taking as that I'm learning something new, and then I'm hoping that I can do a little bit better next year.
Great.
Because I feel like we're going to be in this for a while. It's not going to go right, even though we've got the vaccine, thank goodness. But mm-hmm. I feel like we're going to be in this for a while. So I'm not quite sure when the shows will be back.
Yeah.
So we just do what we can from home. And I have a little pop-up in my garage. The garage door goes up. If people come to Niagara to visit me or to pick up their jellies, I have my table all set up in the garage. The garage door goes up. Everybody's got their mask on, everybody's safe, and they can try the jellies, or they can just purchase the jellies right from the garage.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's so great. And Tracy, doesn't it, I mean, I would say I feel exactly the same as you. I mean, the sales are nothing like when you're at a show and meeting people and all that. But I have to say, it really warms my heart how people are supporting small business.
Absolutely, yes.
They're really paying attention to this now more than ever. I mean, it's incredible. Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens to a lot of the big box stores, and if we do see small business, kind of like you said, like this year we've learned so much. We're trying to figure out a new way in this virtual world. And, you know, over the next couple of years, I mean, it's not that I don't love to do shows and I don't love to be out there, but I'm also very comforted by the fact that there is another way, and there's maybe an opportunity for in the new world that I can enjoy my own life a little more, like have some me time and not be running around.
Yeah, you can go walk the dog in the morning. I can go riding. I can do the things that I love to do.
Yeah.
And I can kind of work my own schedule, which is wonderful. And Yeah. So I'm, as much as I miss the shows, I'm kind of getting used to this new lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I like that I can, and Vito and I aren't, not that we're old, but we're not getting any younger. So those shows take a lot out of you, like,
Yeah.
hours standing on your feet and talking to, which we love because we get right into it. But
Yeah.
it's taxing. It's very hard on your body. And
It
I
is.
find that this way I can get regular exercise. I feel better. I feel stronger.
Mhm.
And yeah, especially at this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you look like some days I just look back and I go, I did all that?
How
Like,
did I do
what
that?
did I do?
I know,
Yeah.
because we go from one show. If people, we understand because we're on the same circuit.
Yeah.
People have no idea how many shows we do in a row, and we build for basically 6 weeks a year.
Yeah.
That's our go time, and we have to be well. We have to be healthy. We have to be strong, and we have to go. And we've built all of this stock for that time, and
Yeah.
that's our game time. That's when we really launch. So
It's so true. And you know that and like you said, the whole community of crafters and oh my God, all the different personalities and people are so funny and we all just like connect on this crazy level. Have you ever seen the movie with Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, Best in Show? It's about
yes, yes, yeah.
I love that movie so much and it reminds me of that. I think, oh my God, all these dog people are like the crafters.
Oh,
It's
they're like the
us.
crafters. Oh, we totally relate to that. It's just like, and we're all in there in the morning and we're trying to get our stuff together or setting up the show. We've got
Yeah.
our hair schlepped up in a little ponytail. We got like our
Yeah.
ratty clothes on. We're just dragging ourselves in.
I
And then
know.
it's showtime and we've all got our makeup on. We've got our outfits on. And we're just like, hey, bring it on.
I know. Isn't it funny? And then I love more than New Year's Eve. I love at One of a Kind on the last day when they go, the One of a Kind show is now over. And we all cheer. We're like,
I know. Absolutely.
and you see people
The best.
throwing things up and then
Everybody's just stoked. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's crash bang boom, all the
And then
booths
there's
coming down.
takedown, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if I have the energy to take down. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. So you think about that. The show ends the last day at 6 p.m. Then
Yeah.
it takes maybe, depending on how complicated your booth is, mine's pretty easy. It takes probably 2 to 3 hours to get out of there.
Right.
And then you've got to unload when you get back to your studio or your home.
Yes.
And, and then you still want to make it for some Swiss Chalet and a glass of wine at least.
Yeah. Well, I usually don't get home till probably after midnight on that night, just because for
Yeah.
takedown and getting home. And I pack a van the very next day and head to Ottawa for 12 days. So
Right. You guys.
after One of a Kind, I don't finish. I used to finish after One of a Kind, and those, and now I go to Ottawa for 12 days. So I literally don't get home until the 22nd, maybe on my birthday, the 23rd.
Wow.
And then it's Christmas time. Yeah.
Jeez, and so what was Christmas like when you were doing that Ottawa show? Did your kids kind of take over with Christmas or did you?
I don't know how I actually, when I think back, you think back and you go, how
Yeah.
did I do that? But what I probably did is I probably had the gifts I was going to buy. I bought a lot of things from the shows, which was great. I supported all the other
Yes.
vendors. And a lot of the kids' presents were from the One of a Kind or from Ottawa or whatever I usually tried to buy from the vendors.
Yeah.
And then I love those bags where you just put it in and stuff the paper in, so you don't really have to physically wrap it because you're just beyond. You cannot wrap anything at that time.
No.
It's just throw it in the bag, throw some tissue on it. This is from Santa. This is from So that's how I do it. Yeah,
Wow.
that's how I did it. I don't even remember because I remember I used to clean the house probably on the 24th.
Wow.
And quite often I would make dinner to have a Christmas dinner, like for part of my other family too, for my brother and his kids or whatever. But I knew that after Christmas, it's our downtime. January, February, March, we can actually take a breather. And
Yeah,
just,
for sure.
we start up with signing up for our shows and all our hotels and Airbnbs or wherever we stay.
Mhm.
And but we're home. We're not on the road,
Yeah.
and we're so grateful for that at that time of year. So
Yeah, for sure. I
mhm.
know it's so fun. I always feel kind of mixed emotions, Tracy, that time of year because
Yeah,
you're like relieved to stop, but it's also like
it's a
you're
bit of
like all it's like am I not a rock star anymore? Like what the hell?
oh,
Where's
I know
everybody?
it's a total letdown. It's like, wait a minute, nobody's chatting with me. Nobody's. I know. You kind of get it's a little bit of a and it's the middle of the winter. It's like, could this
Yeah.
not happen in the middle of the summer? No, this happens. The coldest part of the year is when, and the shortest daylight hours, which is, to me,
Yes.
affects me terribly. I need to be awake as long as the light's shining because
Yeah.
I really miss it, the sunlight in the wintertime.
Oh yeah, me too. Are you up extra early like to get in on the
Every
sunlight?
day. Yeah,
Yeah, good for
I'm an
you.
early morning girl. Yeah. I'd
Oh,
rather go to
that's
bed early and get up early.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, that's so good,
Yeah.
Tracy. Yeah. I know. What a crazy
We
life.
can totally relate. We have the same lifestyle
Yeah.
that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Mhm.
if if anybody is watching today who is thinking about starting their own business,
Mhm.
what would your advice be to them? Like if you could do it all over again, would you do it again? What
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I say to anybody, and I have over the years encouraged so many young people, and I especially women too, because when you a lot of us, if you want to have a family, you want to get married, you want to do all these different things, you feel like a lot of the child rearing tends to be, even though like it's supposed to be shared, but I feel like the women do a lot of the caregiving for the children. So
Mhm.
I feel like if women can be empowered to do what they love to do, they can do that from home and they can still be with their kids and they can still, and I really, really encourage that because, and here's the other thing, you can go to school and be an interior designer, you can be a lot of different things. And it doesn't mean that that's what you need to be for all of your life. It means that you've got an education in a creative field. So what do you want to do with that? And we can all, I encourage people to like, it's funny because a lot of people like people that are in the medical field, like nurses and things, they'll come to me and they'll say, I really want to be more creative. Like, I love that you're so creative and everything. And I said, well, there's nothing to say that you can't be. And the funny thing is that even if they have that career, they can always do that part-time and do something else creative part-time as well. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be one or the other, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I worked at Canada Post for 18 years and ran the business on the side and
See, there you go. Yeah.
and yeah, thank God I was in my 20s and 30s because that's when I was doing like the 24 shows a year with you guys. We'd see each
Yes.
other all over the
Yeah.
place and
Yeah.
I loved it. And for sure, like especially, I mean, at any age you can do it, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're young and you've got
Yeah.
the
You've
extra
got the
energy.
energy. You can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I tell people, do it in a small way. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
What makes you happy, and be if it's being around people, then maybe you need to be around, I mean, obviously nurses around people too, but they're helping them, and maybe and the people aren't feeling so well or whatever. I think with our business we're so lucky because the people that are at the shows are happy to be there. They want to, they're excited, they're doing something with their girlfriends or their family, they've got them out
Mhm.
for a beautiful day at a show, and they're just very
Yeah.
engaging, and it's a very positive atmosphere, I guess is what I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And we're very
Yeah.
fortunate.
We
Yeah.
are, and we all, we all inspire each other because you're right. I think, being creative, it doesn't mean you have to know how to draw or you have to know how to paint or
Oh no.
you
No,
just get
no.
in there and explore and something is going to come up.
I
Right?
agree. And I think if you're happy about it and you're passionate about it, a business will come together for you. Something will happen. You'll meet the right people. You just need to put yourself out there and not be afraid. Don't be afraid. Like, so what if you don't do well at one particular thing? Try something else. There's nothing wrong with trying different things, you know? And like they say, the most successful people have failed the most because they've put themselves out there. And I really, really agree with that.
Yeah, me too. And I think also, you know, like one thing I remember I was getting caught up in was like comparing myself to other people who were in the same industry as me, and oh, they're doing that and maybe I should. And really, even like I would do things where I knew in my heart it wasn't what I wanted to do, but I did it because someone else was doing it. And I can say that not one of those things was necessary.
No, like, no, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool that you tried it, because then you understood more about yourself. Every time you do something like that, you say, you know what, that's not really me. But sometimes unless you do it, you don't really realize, well, who am I? Like, what am I all about? You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting thing about our business too, is that we continue to evolve and to better understand ourselves and the people around us.
Isn't it wild, Tracy? That's the one thing I can say. When I left Canada Post to do Glam Jewels full time, in that first year, I was like, oh my God. I like all of a sudden I was like back to being like 13, 14 years old. I was connecting with that little, like the Monica that was like, you know, hyped up and impulsive, and
that's exactly you've gone back. You've taken those great things out of your childhood that really excited you. I had this little cash register, this little toy cash register. I was so excited to open that baby up and give people change, and you know, all fake money. Nobody had any money back then, right? But you know what? I made this chestnut necklace, and you might like that chestnut necklace. Maybe you want the bracelet to go with it. You got to supersize everything too, right?
The add-ons.
And you know what's funny? This is a really funny aside. My kindergarten teacher wrote in my on my report card. She said, Tracy likes to tip her chair back and chat with her neighbors. Nothing's changed.
Wow.
I still like to chat with my neighbors.
Yep. That is so great. Yes. And you know, I remember reading something once. I can't remember what book it was, but it's like 20 years ago I read this, and there was this whole idea that if you wanted to do something, start your own business, the best thing you could do is go back to what it was you were best at when you were a child. And they said, and we're not talking about the best thing you did at school, like that you were good at math or what. We're talking about what were you best at. And see, that's exactly what they meant. Like leaning back, talking to your friends on the chair.
Just having casual conversations. Probably supposed to be listening to the teacher, but you know. And I did a lot of that too. I was a good student. I ended up being a very good student. And interestingly enough, I went totally into the maths and sciences because I wanted to be a doctor. That was my goal, was to be a doctor. Wow. So I kind of got sidetracked into the art. My whole life has been a little bit sidetracked. I
love it.
So I don't know. My daughter is now a doctor of veterinary medicine. So perhaps she stayed focused enough to get to that end. So good on her. But also a very creative person and does things, you know, she needs to have that creative outlet, or she gets a little bit, you know, antsy too. So
Oh, that's great. Wow. It's so fascinating to me where we start and, you know, where you end up.
And we're not at the end of the road yet. We got lots coming up. So I don't know what that is exactly. I'm not sure. But I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about, you know, what it holds. And we'll just move forward through this coronavirus. We just, as my grandmother always said, Tracy, press on. Just press. And it's true. Because no matter what the adversity is in your life or whatever, you have to pick yourself up and you have to keep going forward. And that's kind of yeah, that's my motto.
Oh, that's so great, Tracy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you were able to do this today. And
Thank you.
when I think about why I started doing this talk show, it really was to share stories, because when you look back to when you and I were starting, there was nowhere to go where we could just hear from somebody else who had maybe done what we are doing, or that could just share a real story.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really happy that you could share yours here. And
Thank you.
The message about pressing on, you've done it. You've lived up to your grandmother's expectation.
Yeah, that's right.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for today. I'm going to invite you to an Instagram after party.
Okay.
After this. So stay tuned for that. We will be seeing Tracy on Instagram. But thank you so much for your time today, Trace.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this up.
Love you lots. Bye.
Love you too. Bye. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to Tracy and her story. Wow. I'm just so moved by her and her strength and her courage and everything that she does to keep pressing forward, like her grandmother said, in her business. And she's the type of woman who inspires me every day. And I hope that she has inspired you as well. And before I do my final sign off, I just want to remind you to please go and visit our sponsor, brendabadome.com, and check out her beautiful clothing. And remember, it's all made in Canada, and you can use the coupon code GET2KNOW HER for 13% off of your order. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We would love to have you. Take care, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Get to Know Her Show. Bye for now.